Welcome back to Lightyear the Fuse, and we are coming to the end of our space adventure, Charles. How are you feeling about it?
I feel great. This has been just such an awesome chat, and it was an amazing interview. I really thought it was only going to be 2 parts, but they had so much to talk about, so much to offer us in terms of action movies and Mission Impossible movies, and yeah, I'm just thrilled with how this went, and excited.
I don't think we talked about where you can watch Lightyear. Maybe we did. I'm sure we did during the episode, but by the time this episode will come out, the movie will be available on Disney Plus, on digital, wherever you rent or buy, as well as on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K HD Blu-ray. So get it wherever the getting's good, and watch Lightyear if you haven't done so. But if you're already at part 3, I'm assuming you've probably watched it by now or before. I don't know.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
I would hope so. Yeah, it's this is just such an awesome chat. I really thought we were only going to go for an hour with them. We ended up going 90 minutes, so we had to turn it into 3 parts because it was just such a great, epic chat about action cinema.
We love it. And you know what else we love, Charles?
Your shout-outs?
My shout-outs. So this episode is brought to you by Jeremy Dillon and his podcast, My Favorite Album. It's also brought to you by John B., Elvis Ripley, and Suchet. So thank you all so much for helping support this show. And if you at home want to support this show, please go to patreon.com/LightTheFuse. We'll tell you a little bit more about what you get from that subscription when we come back. Charles, have we reached the point that we have to get to?
I think
all of
so.
Our guests?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here it is. Should we start with hair or rankings?
Yeah.
You just might as well get it over with.
All right. So we have to ask both of you if you want to give us your hair rankings, or most people now are just boiling it down to if they're a long hair guy, if they're a short hair guy. So where do you fall on that? Jeremy, in terms of staging, how would you rather have Tom Cruise have long hair or short hair?
I mean, if I'm going to have some slow-mo, there's going to be slow-mo, I think I want the long hair because I want to see it. I want to see it move. It's luxurious, the long hair.
Do you like the long? I mean, are you more of a Ghost Protocol guy? Or are you more of a Mission 1 guy?
I think I'm more of a Ghost Protocol guy, but I mean, man, it's hard. Look at my hair. Who am I to criticize someone else's choices?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he has beautiful hair in every movie, obviously, but McQuarrie has a whole theory about why his hair is the length that it is in the various movies, and
yeah, I would hope so. I would expect that of him.
Yes. Angus, do you want to weigh in here?
Well, I honestly haven't thought about it that much because I'll take, Mission Impossible is like pizza for me. Like I'll take it however I can get it.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of value to what Jeremy was saying about longer hair, and a lot of it is because of the effect of atmospherics on the hair. Just looking at a lot of the movement that can be generated by stillness with atmospherics, as demonstrated in Kurosawa's films. So I think there's a lot of value to stylistically the way that his hair is long in MI2, especially given the amount of the stylistic choices of the slow motion. I like there's more functionality maybe to 4, but it still allows for the wind to blow it. Excuse me. So that's really where, I think that's a good balance. I always saw the hair as status, and that in the first one he was a little bit more like a recruit.
Yeah.
And so it's tighter like a recruit. And then the second one, he's like, it starts off and he's like in the desert and hiking, climbing, and so that allows him to let his hair down a little bit. And then 3, he's a little bit more in the middle because he's not super tight. It's more like he's getting married, and it's functional, but it's somewhere in the middle. 4 is he is he's almost disavowed. So it's like he's not regulation, and the hair kind of shows that feeling. 5, he's back in the good graces, and then he's becoming more professorial. Like he's getting to be a little bit more of the elder statesman he's ageless, but in that he's a mentor to some of these characters. So I think I like it long enough so that wind affects it in a way that shows his thought process, and he's seeing him struggle. I don't know. that's the way I look at it. So it's more of just a methodology. I don't think I have a good ranking for you, and I'm not. I mean, didn't De Palma shut you down? Wasn't he just like, I'm not going to do that?
Yeah. I mean, most of that interview was us getting shut down. But yeah,
that was a good one though. I like that.
Still
one.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, in 7, it's pretty short, and then 8, it's long. So we think there might be a time jump in between these two new ones.
Look, I am on an almost media blackout for those movies, but now you've ruined it.
You don't want to hear?
No,
okay, now you know about hair.
Now oh my gosh, you
saw the trailer though, right?
Yeah, it was pretty great. But I try to forget that stuff. I see it like once and I put it down because I think about the way that they it's like they have to market the movies, and they will give away as much as they possibly can. And as a filmmaker, as much as I used to watch like watching trailers as a younger person, now I try to avoid it at all costs. If it's any movie that I want to see, if it's a movie I don't want to see ever, okay, I won't bother me to see the trailer. But I try to avoid them because I don't want to connect the movie in my mind about what I think is going to happen. Because usually they'll tell you up into the middle of Act 2. So to see a movie cold where you're discovering it, that's one of my favorite things in the world. Like to see something like that where you're going, oh, I had no idea where it was going to go. But otherwise I'm just going like, yeah. I know he gets a magic boat. When is he? I haven't even seen the boat. Oh, okay. The boat is, here we are 3/4 way through. He's got the boat. We know the boat can fly. Now the boat can fly. That was in the trailer. Oh, the director was irritated that they showed the flying boat.
Yep.
And that's 2 hours in. Oh my gosh, no surprises. So
right.
Angus in the theater curls up into a literal fetal position and shuts his eyes and puts his hands over his ears during all the trailers.
No, okay.
Wow.
It's not fetal position because I don't lift my knees up. But I do, if it's something I want to see, I will plug my ears and hum to myself.
You only don't lift your knees up because the seats are too close in front of you and you can't physically do it because you're so tall.
I am a taller person, that's true. But look, there's a method to that madness in that I was able to go into many of the modern classics cold. And I think I'm happier for it.
I've just started that. Actually, I was just been doing a new thing where, when I'm watching a trailer, if I decide I'm going to watch the movie, I don't want to watch the trailer anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been trying to live by that. It's been a little tough, but I'm working on it. Yeah.
Well, a couple of freaks on this call.
Wait. If you think about
the trailers are just getting longer and longer, and they're showing you everything. It's crazy. The trailers are going on 3 minutes now.
But that's the way. I mean, they were that way in the 70s, and they showed a lot. Like that comes and goes. I do think if you think about like Terminator 2, like if you can watch Terminator 2 cold and not know Arnie is good, the movie is way better for it. So
wait, what now?
So Arnold, the T-800.
Shit.
Yeah, I should have said spoiler alert on that one, Jeremy. I can't believe you haven't seen Terminator 2. I've told you to. Oh god, this is a thing.
I just went straight to 3. I didn't think that was going to be a problem.
Okay, here's what I wish 3 had. I wish 3 had ended with it's Arnie versus the female Terminator, and then what should have happened is Arnie should have been defeated, and then a helicopter crashes in. And then out of the helicopter pours a good T-1000, and he comes up to John Connor, is like, "Come with me if you want to live." Like all anyone wanted to see was a good Robert Patrick in Terminator 3, but it wasn't to be, I guess.
That's fun.
That is a good end. Although me and Charles are pretty big T3 fans here.
Actually, I do love the ending in particular of T3.
Oh yeah, it's a great idea. I just think But wouldn't it be 10% better with a good Robert Patrick?
That movie's, it's not perfect, that's for sure. But there's a lot of things to love.
I love Jonathan Mostow. He's an incredibly talented filmmaker,
Yeah.
and Breakdown is still a perennial. But
Yeah.
I just want it's just like when you watch Batman Begins, you want Batman to pick up a sword at the end of it. You introduce Batman with a sword in the first act. Ninja Batman. I want a sword fight on that train.
Chekhov's sword.
Yeah, it's a totally Chekhov's sword. They didn't.
Yeah. All right. Listen, Angus, this is the most serious part of this podcast.
Okay.
Jeremy, I hope you've come prepared, Jeremy. You knew that this was coming. Rank the movies. Angus, I think I have your ranking somewhere offline somewhere. But Jeremy, we need yours. Angus, you have to reiterate yours for everybody.
He's got a pen and paper out. He's working on it.
All right.
I
gotta write this down. Yeah. Let me see.
Okay.
Well.
For people listening, there's nothing more exciting than watching.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. This is a controversial opinion.
Are you going descending order, or are you starting with your favorite?
I'm gonna start with my favorite, but I'm gonna say,
Okay, go ahead.
but my opinion is that the best Mission Impossible movie has yet to be made, and it's not a criticism. It's more saying that they all have their virtues, and it's hard to pick from them. So for me, I think the one I've seen the most is probably Fallout, and I don't know why, but I think I just keep coming back to it. But I enjoy the comedy of Mission Impossible 4. So at the very top for me, it's a tie between those two. Fallout doesn't have the comedy that 4 has, and 4 has the best sequence ever in a Mission Impossible movie.
But we argue that 4 introduced comedy in a way that has been sustained somewhat in the latter.
But never matched.
Movies.
But never matched.
Correct.
So my one is a split between Ghost Protocol and Fallout, and I oscillate depending on the week.
Okay.
Now 2, the rock band The Cars released Heartbeat City, and it's a pretty good album for The Cars. But if you get the greatest hits of The Cars, it's basically Heartbeat City with like Let the Good Times Roll and Shake It Up. And so for me, Rogue Nation is the greatest hits of the Mission Impossible movies. Like, it has all of the things that you want, and it has wonderful sequences, and I come back to it a lot. Emotionally, though, 3 has a love story that's really great, and I think that so those have their strengths and weaknesses. I think that the idea of Ethan Hunt becoming a teacher in 3 and teaching Jules like how to save his life is like really profound and interesting, but it doesn't carry the same emotional payout somehow that I feel like is in the middle of that movie. Like when the brain bomb goes off, like that's so incredible. So there's so many peaks and valleys. I mean, I don't know. For me, but then Rogue Nation has the Taurus. It has the car chase. It has the Tornado. There's so many great elements to both those movies. I can't decide. So that's my number 2. Number 3 is 1. I love 1. I watch it again. There's nothing wrong with 1, although I will admit the first time I saw it, the discussion of Phelps telling Ethan what actually happened was confusing about what was real, what was not. Like my very first, I was younger, I was dumber. I really liked that movie. I think that the Langley sequence, again, is amazing. And if anything, one of the challenges of the Mission Impossible movies is the middle of the movie is often more exciting than the payoff. Because the elevation of the stakes and the heist or the midpoint reversal, whatever scene is, the Rafifi scene is usually the most exciting scene.
Yeah. That was something that we talked about in our very earliest episodes. That we actually feel like Fallout is the only movie that sort of solved that issue.
Yes, and maybe that's why it's got an edge. Maybe that's the edge. Shoot. Okay, maybe that's one. I don't know.
Yeah, because we talked about that a lot, because we started the show before Fallout came out. And we were just talking about that was sort of one of the problems with the series, that we love the movie so much, but the two problems were like...
They have a pyramidal
Yeah.
kind of structure, the ones before it.
Well, maybe another way to say it is each of the films provided revelations. And they were things to be learned from each film. The first one was, holy crap, we can make a Mission Impossible movie, and that's super exciting. The second one was, gadgets are actually more fun than guns. And I think that the second one was, as much as I love John Woo, was maybe a little gun heavy.
Very, yeah. He saves the world by killing half of its population.
Yeah, which is...
It's shocking that you would find a John Woo movie gun heavy.
I'm just saying in the context for what we're going for with this series. But I do like motorcycle to motorcycle air fight is pretty awesome. But
yes.
the third one introduced the concept of the Superman problem. And the Superman problem is that Superman is all powerful, but he can be hurt by hurting his friends. And so that idea was nice to see, because that was always the James Bond problem. Is as soon as James Bond would get as soon as James Bond gets married, the very next one is like, dead. She's dead. And, And then the fourth one was the comedy and that nothing works. And then the fifth one was, let's take all of everything we've learned and have the administrative bad guy. That's one of the things in the dissection is the administrative bad guy. The administrative bad guy for Rogue Nation is fantastic. Administrative bad guy is wonderful for 3 in Lawrence Fishburne, but the Alec Baldwin administrative bad guy is just like, that's what you want. And then what Fallout is able to do is then bring the administrative bad guy on their side and then introduce the new administrative bad guy in Angela Bassett. I mean, like, that has... Anyway, I know this was meant to be a 2-second answer.
Are you a fan of the bad guy in 4? It's very strange that a cartoonist made such a kind of restrained villain in 4. And he's so over the top in John Wick. We've posited that maybe if he had done his John Wick performance in Ghost Protocol, it might have had a little bit more oomph.
I wonder if the villain, we've talked about this a lot, but the villain, I feel like, needed, because the movie is so much funnier than the other ones. And if the villain was funny too, then the stakes suddenly wouldn't feel as real and you wouldn't feel as dangerous. That's true. The fear, I think. If you went goofy with the villain, then suddenly the whole movie is too goofy.
Yeah, I mean, in John Wick it works because John Wick is deadly serious. So you need I think that, and the movie, the tone of John Wick really hinges on that phone call. You know, when John calls Michael Nyqvist and says, whatever, your son was killed by the Baba Yaga, whatever, and he's like, oh, okay. Like the balance of power works really well there because John Wick is the straight man. I like Michael Nyqvist as a performer very much, and I'm very sad that he it's very tragic he died so young. I think you needed him to be, to what you're saying, fairly straight. I know that they played with how he was introduced.
I like that alternate introduction, actually.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Well, they're balancing a lot of things up front. And I don't know how I would have solved it if I would have started in the prison, or if I would. I mean, I like the way it is. I think that the thing I wonder about, isn't there there's a nice bit of ADR in there where it says like he was a Swedish
Special Forces, yeah.
Swedish Special Forces. So that to justify the fight at the end.
Yeah.
But
obviously ADR'd in the limo, yeah.
I don't have any problem. I like that. I mean, I don't know. Talk about hair in 4. I think it's neat that that Brandt has that closely cropped hair the way that we first introduced Ethan. And from the very first trailer, I thought that was really clever to show status between the two of them, as he's a little more junior because of the haircut. Just to get back at the hair conversation.
Wow, nobody has ever brought up Brandt's hair on the show before. So
you've never had Angus on the show before.
Yeah,
maybe we're gonna have to have people start.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but yeah. Jeremy, I'd love to hear your rankings. I don't hog the time.
No, I mean you're the smart one. But let me start by saying I have not gone into as much depth of rewatch for Mission Impossible in general as certainly Drew and Charles you have, but not Angus either. And as I'm making this list, I'm like, wow, the one at the the ones towards the bottom, that's really unfortunate because they're not bad. It's not like
No.
It's not like you're falling fast. It's whatever. I start with Fallout because for me that's the one that I've seen the most. That's the one that I think has the most meat to it in a way. It's the most interesting. It feels like, as Angus was maybe alluding to, with we haven't seen the best one yet. Like Macquarie keeps getting better and more. It's like he's played this symphony enough that he really is starting to find the nuances of it and all the little variations on things that are just really, really exciting. So I really love that.
Yeah.
And then I go to the first one because, and again, I've watched the first one several times, but not recently. But I think I remember seeing it when it was released and thinking, wow, this is really exciting. This is really fun. They actually made a good movie out of this that doesn't just feel like a parody of the first one or fan service to the first one, really. So I put it as my second favorite because without it, none of this other stuff exists. If that wouldn't have worked, if that wouldn't have been successful, we wouldn't have gotten the rest of them. As we now know from experience, Angus and myself. So in my sorry, you can edit that out later. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about the Wally criterion. Number 3 for me is number 3. There's so much great stuff in that movie. For Lightyear, we were watching the intro. Angus had us rewatch the intro, which is great, but also that helicopter scene where they're evacuating what's her name with the brain bomb, and just the tension that they get out of close-ups of faces, like panicking and trying to figure out what to do. And then every once in a while you see the helicopter fight. Like, that is so well done.
So Jeremy, 3 is your 3.
3 is my 3.
Mission Impossible 3 is 3. Okay.
Is my 3. And Philip Seymour Hoffman is so absolutely terrifying in that movie in a way that it had me believing that he was going to win, which I think is very rare in movies now for villains. You kind of know that, it's all going to work out in the end. But man, there were moments in that movie where I'm like, oh, he is a terrifying individual. 4 is number 4, conveniently. I like it a lot. And 4 is mostly number 4 because for me, 5 is number 5. I don't quite have the connection to Rogue Nation that some people do. I don't know why.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. I feel the same way.
It's not one I go back to.
I agree.
But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. It just means it's more like if I watch 5, 6, and then eventually 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. I think as a set it's going to work, but something about it as a standalone kind of had me like, okay.
I will say that I think Fallout makes it more essential.
I hear you, but it's essential. Like Search for Spock, you need Search for Spock. You can't just go.
No. I'm not saying you don't need it. I'm just saying it is much better now watching Rogue Nation and then Fallout.
Yes.
Fallout on its own is a setup. Rogue Nation on its own is a setup for Fallout, which works together in a way you sort of wanted those movies to come out like, oh, it comes out in the summer. Rogue Nation comes out in the summer and then Fallout comes out in the winter. That would have been great.
Yeah.
And then the last one for me is 2. I've seen it once, I think. I know I've seen it once, but I don't think I've seen it a second time. Poor 2.
We just have to say like 2 is the bottom of everyone's list, but there's still a lot of fun. Not everybody's, but
most people's.
Well, what do we have to pitch? I think Jeremy's new project is about to be announced tomorrow, but since there's a Pixar representative on the line, we won't talk about that yet.
My new project.
Yeah, are you not on the one after? No. Oh.
No.
Just
These
Lightyear.
movies take a lot of time.
What do you think I'm talking about?
I figure you'd jump right back in.
No. I went to bed. I went to sleep.
Rick Van Winkle over here is coming out of his nap after the release of...
So Lightyear, just so people understand the way the Pixar films work, you're on a movie. I was on Lightyear for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And so somewhere as we were on maybe our 4th or 5th scene in production, the DP of Elemental, which has been announced, that's the one you're talking about, is
No, I'm talking about the one after Elemental.
Oh, after
I thought
Elemental.
you would be on that one.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
currently not on anything that
Okay.
has been announced or anything that hasn't. It's just there's a wait, like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no.
Okay.
No.
But everyone should watch Lightyear on Disney Plus on loop.
Yes.
If you want a sequel, this is how we get it.
Well, one thing I would say, just to go back to what Jeremy was saying, I mean, the ranking is fun. It's fun to talk about, but movies are hard to make, and I think that there's so much focus on ranking that like all of the Mission Impossible movies are worth watching. It's so weird. Like somehow like 6th place, like on a Mission Impossible movie, it's still awesome.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the weird things, and where I'm coming at it from is there's a lot of Pixar ranking, and it's like, all right, fine. If this movie is this on, if you rank the all of the Pixar movies, also any movie is what age you were when you saw it. You know, seeing a movie at 10 is going to have a different impact than when you see it at 20.
Yeah.
So it's fun to rank these mission films, but I really do love them, and so I don't mean any criticism of them. It's just like, it's hard to make a movie, and they're so much fun, and they bring me so much entertainment. I think that looking at my letterbox, I think I've seen Fallout 7 times since I joined Letterboxd maybe 5 years ago. That's the film I've seen the most, is Fallout. So and then right after that is Lightyear, which the finished one I think I've only seen like 6 times, but that I logged in the theater. Yeah, and after that is Rogue Nation.
But it's a great point though, because we've had people reach out to us to tell us that MI2, they still have such a soft spot for that movie and that they love it because they saw it at a certain age and it just sticks with them, and they can still kind of relive that feeling of what it was like when they saw it when they were 10 or 12, whatever, however old they were when they saw it, and it just hit just right for them at that age. And so, yeah, I think that's a good point.
If you haven't noticed, Angus, too, we are a celebration of all things Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So we love.
No, absolutely. It's more of a larger thing of like, I think I've never seen the fan community so determined to give themselves one choice. They're like, if you could have one Mission Impossible movie on one desert island, I'm like, first of all, in what world is that an issue? Same thing with Pixar films. Like, you can pick these 3 Pixar films. The other ones will be burned and no one will ever see them again. It's like, this is not a problem. This is not a situation you're faced with. And moreover, I don't really understand what algorithm they're trying to cook by getting that information.
I know.
It's a weird situation. So,
although I think we can all agree objectively that Small Fry is the greatest Pixar short.
Yes,
out there.
I did.
No!
I wanted to specifically say that before we signed off. I wanted to say to Angus that Small Fry, because you were talking about recommending things to people. Drew, you mentioned that. I wanted to tell people to watch Small Fry because that is my favorite Pixar short. And not only that, but also Toy Story of Terror.
Thank you.
Is part of my Halloween programming every year. When I watch movies leading up to Halloween, I always watch Toy Story of Terror as well.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's very kind. I'm glad that I mean, that's one of those ones. That was the first thing we released to television, so it's neat to see that it's still being watched. Yeah, no, that one is again another very deeply nerdy celebration of movies, as all of these things seem to be.
I assume they're all on Disney Plus now, right? Because they weren't at first, but they are now, I assume. I own them, so that's how I watch them, but I assume they're on Disney Plus?
I think they're on Disney Plus.
I hope so.
I don't know. I mean, I think certainly the entertainment world from the consumer and the creator end has been rocked this year, that apparently just because it's on streaming doesn't mean it's always going to be on streaming. So I will tell you, as my personal preference, as I get you also do the same thing. If there's a movie that you enjoy and you want to see it again, probably best to buy it.
Yeah.
On physical media in a way that's not connected to the internet.
Listen, you're talking to 2 people who have terrorized their wives with their large, unnecessary Blu-ray collections. So
It's not unnecessary. I think it's like in reading the recent whinging about Avatar being removed from Disney Plus, like, can you believe this? They they removed it before the. I'm like, yeah, because it's called a business. It's show business, guys. These things are not cheap. It's not a concern I have because I have the Blu-ray with the 10 cuts. But so support a movie you like.
It's really sad. Like, you think about when we when we were kids, we were renting a movie from Blockbuster for whatever it was, $4 or something. That was how much it cost to get one movie. And now people, they expect to be able to pay a service $10 a month and get every movie. You're just like the devaluing of all these movies into, obviously, the hated word content. It's just like, oh my God, I want to blow my brains out.
I think we're getting a little dark here, and I think Angus is gonna get dark too.
No, I'm not. I mean, I think. Well, one thing I do is when I find something obscure that I enjoy. Like, there was a movie that was recommended, I think, on a competing podcast I won't mention, to keep all focus on Light the Fuse. But there's a movie called Reign of Terror or Black Book that I saw. That was like a noir, like a historical noir, And so whenever I find something weird and old, I for sure buy it. Or like Time Without Pity. Or I recently saw, in the pandemic, I saw A Cult Is My Passport, this Japanese noir picture.
So good.
Those movies are awesome. And so, I don't know how long it's going to be on the service. Or I just saw Inferno, which is on Criterion. You've seen Inferno? With Robert Ryan.
Oh.
It's a 3D movie, and it's Robert Ryan is a rich guy left for dead with a broken ankle, in the middle of the desert, left for dead by his wife and friend who is and his wife and friend are having an affair, and so the whole movie is just Robert Ryan climbing, like crab walking out of the desert, trying to get revenge. And it's a purely processed movie. And it's great. There's a lot of stuff flying at the camera. But anyway, it's on Criterion, but it's one of those ones where I like looked up, like, how can I get this on Blu-ray? Like, you can. It's like either Twilight Time or
right?
something like that.
I saw that you got the disc.
That's what it was, yeah. Yeah, because who knows, you're never going to see that in 3D. I mean, just knowing about some of those older films, it's a way for me, at least as a filmmaker, to be reinvigorated. And when you watch as many movies as we do, you're always looking for, I'd say, a fresh, like, it's harder to find things that are really exciting, but when you do, the high is really, really something. And that's what's nice about the Mission Impossible movies, is at least the high is like you're gonna go back to an old favorite restaurant and have something new and exciting.
Well said. Well, thank you guys both so much. We've wasted a lot of your morning, but thank you so much for coming on, for lighting the fuse. And
no one is listening. How many listeners have actually making it to this point in the pot, and they're out immediately?
I think this was a great episode. Charles, what do you think?
I agree. Yeah, this has been an amazing scholarly exploration of action film. I think it's been great.
I hope you got what you needed out of it, and I encourage. I hope that you get down to the Key Grip and the Best Boy from Fallout here, because I think you're running out of people.
We've got a caterer coming up, Angus. We've got a caterer coming up.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Yep. I think it's interesting what you're doing. It's a document. It's a document of a time and a place.
It is. And we're starting to it's going to be a living document of the next two movies too, I think, which will be very exciting.
It's amazing.
I just can't wait to download it onto my Zune, so that when we're all riding on the Fury Road in 5 years, I could be remembering what it was like.
Yes, thank you.
Moving on.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and be sure to watch Lightyear on repeat on Disney Plus right now, or buy it on. I've pre-ordered my 4K coming out soon.
Yeah, there's I think there's 3 mini documentaries that they made that are pretty neat, and the team that makes the nonfiction content at work, they like, we're going to show you this thing, tell us what you think, and you watch it and you're like, I mean, it's not each of them are not terribly long, but they're really succinct and really well put together, and feel more filmmaking rather than promotion in a way. And I was really impressed with them. And I was like, I don't have any notes. I mean, I don't like seeing myself on screen, but if I was watching it as a fan, I found it really interesting. And the audio commentary, Jeremy and I did audio commentary also recorded with Headley, and they mashed them together with editing techniques.
Oh, you know what?
I haven't heard the final version. Did you hear it? I haven't heard it.
Angus, you're a Lego guy. Do you have the Mission Impossible Legos? They were just from that video game. Charles, do you want to show?
I don't have it. I don't have the Mission Impossible Lego. I should. No, you're right. I should get that, but I don't have the Mission Impossible Legos.
Thank you, Charles.
I think it's hard because there's not a lot of iconic vehicles.
There is a motorcycle that Charles was having a real hard time putting together.
I figured it out. I put it together. The motorcycle and the car. I got 2 vehicles. They're in the other room, but yeah, I got them. Don't you worry. I figured it out. It took me all day, but I did it.
That's like a 100-piece set. It's not that big, right?
No, it's just like 50. It's just the little figures.
No, it's tiny, but there are no instructions on how to put it together because I think you're supposed to use the video game to put it together.
Oh, the video game.
So I was just looking at the box on the outside, figuring out how to piece it together.
Oh, that's a fun challenge.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, great.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Get the Criterion Wall-E in November and see Angus's short film that he made to annoy Brad Bird and listen to his commentary.
That was not the point. That was one joke. That was one joke.
Thank you all so much. This has been a huge thrill, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're back. We're back from the horrible planet that Lightyear has found himself marooned on.
Ooh, yeah.
Katani Prime, I think, is the name of that planet. And if I remember that, that's pretty good. I'm gonna look it up right now. But yeah.
Yeah, I gotta hand it to you. That is pretty good.
Yeah.
This is a great chat, obviously, continuing from the first week. I had a question for you. He brought up MI3.
Yes.
Introducing the Superman problem to the Mission Impossible franchise. And I'm wondering, should we be giving MI3 credit for introducing the Superman problem? I mean, it's a little bit in Mission Impossible 2, I feel like, with Tandy Newton's character, and she gets kidnapped, right, for the whole third act. But, I mean, as MI3 goes further with it, obviously, with Julia's character being clearly in peril, and that's and how much that gets to Ethan too. It is pretty true that that's what that does.
Yeah.
But I think it's not even really until Rogue Nation, I feel like, that you realize the Superman problem in terms of his friends, with Benji being in danger in the finale of Rogue. I feel like McQuarrie has tapped into this idea that he sees how much the audience loves these characters and how upset they are by the idea of Benji potentially dying.
Yes, but Benji is still, in the words of Thor, a friend from work. I feel like that is.
So you think so we should be giving 3 the credit then?
I think we should be giving 3 the credit. If anything, I feel like the movies since have made the other team members more of a family for Ethan.
Yes.
Since we don't see him see his home life anymore.
I guess that's what threw me off when he was saying Superman's friends, because I feel like his friends aren't really friends until Ghost Protocol, really.
Right.
The team really feels like a group of friends in Ghost Protocol, and it doesn't still feel... I guess there are aspects of 3. The Vatican sequence, really, you get them kind of buddy-buddy through it, and Ving Rhames is obviously giving Ethan advice and stuff, but it always makes me so sad that 3 leaves the team behind for the finale. I know maybe we harp on that too much, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, he was really on his own in 3. He had everybody after him, so...
Yeah.
But, I mean, he should still feel like he could trust people. I mean, part of the problem, too, is that, you know, when you introduce a new team each time, that...
You're sort of starting over.
You're starting over, yeah. You gotta build that goodwill all over again. And I feel like now... You know, by 6, we really have been with the same group of characters for the most part. And, you know, I really think that's gonna add to a lot of emotional oomph in 7 and 8.
Yes. That is definitely what McQuarrie has carried the team over very much so through Fallout and seemingly the next one, too, from the trailer, it looks like. Also, you know, there was some Rogue Nation talk this week, and I feel like you found a friend in your feelings about Rogue Nation with Jeremy. Although you do concede that Rogue Nation works so well with Fallout as a setup for Fallout. And that to me also just speaks to how amazing McQuarrie is, again, at building off of things. He's so great at that.
Right.
But I know you found a friend in Jeremy there. That was kind of a...
You know, anytime someone's disappointed in Rogue Nation, I feel a connection to them.
Yeah.
Not that I dislike it or anything. I just feel like
I love that movie, and I know we both have it at number 4 in our rankings, but I feel like I have it as a much higher number 4 than you do.
You know, between the peaks of Fallout and Ghost Protocol, there's a valley. And that valley is Rogue Nation. But that's okay.
Wow. I think it's a pretty tall valley. It doesn't dip much for me, but I guess for you.
No, it doesn't dip. More of a plateau, maybe, than anything else. But no, it's great. I love it. I love parts of it. But if I'm queuing up an MI movie, am I ever going there first? That's the testament, you know. So
right.
That's just where I'm at. You know, we talked on another podcast today a couple days ago about Ghost Protocol and just the performance that Cruise gives in that, and I feel like his performance in Fallout is also really exceptional. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Rogue Nation. It's just not my fave. That's all. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Well, Small Fry and Toy Story of Terror do look like they are currently on Disney Plus, so that's good. People should check those out. And I also wanted to say I watched Inferno on Criterion Channel, which was a recommendation of Angus's. And there are a couple moments that are so fun for the 3D side of it, because it's a 3D movie. But the main character also in that movie has a bag of help that at the first act break he goes off on his adventure with, just like Angus talked about. So I thought that was interesting. That's a cool movie. It's on Criterion Channel. And the Mission Impossible Legos I wanted to bring up. I was making Ethan drop into frame upside down. That's in our Zoom. That's why Drew was giggling after he asked me to show the toy, because I was dangling Ethan into frame like the movie.
I should have known that you couldn't actually just sort of present the toy. That
No,
had to
couldn't
do
that.
There had to be some kind of silliness involved. Yeah.
No. Not an option.
Not an option.
So, and I got it recently on eBay. I think after our 200th episode, someone tweeted a picture of that they were listening to the 200th with their Ethan Lego, and I was like, man, I gotta get that thing. So I had to get it on eBay. I had to. All right, so I guess it's time for my special thank yous. I will give a thank you to Winston Riggs, and to Eddie Santos, and to Matthew Costa. Thank you, Winston, Eddie, and Matthew, for making this episode possible. I also want to credit our editor and mixer, Luke Burson, and our music composer, Kevin Blumenfeld. So thank you to Luke and to Kevin for all the hard work they do for us. And to all of you out there, sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/LightTheFuse. We do bonus episodes every week. We also have a monthly Zoom chat. There's multiple tiers you can choose from to support our show and to be part of this community that is this awesome Mission Impossible fan base and Light the Fuse fan base, I guess, to an extent as well. But we all know what they're really here for. They're here for mission. Mm-hmm. And what else, Drew?
Well, they can pick up a T-shirt from TeePublic and all sorts of other goodies. Just go to teepublic.com. Is it teepublic.com/LightTheFuse?
It isn't, and that's why I always tell people to go to the website, because there's no easy link to TeePublic.
Right, okay, here we go.
So go to our website, lightthefusepodcast.com, and then go to the merch tab. You'll see a few samples there and a direct link to our TeePublic page. I don't know why TeePublic makes it harder.
Yeah, that's no good. We got to do our own dedicated merch store or something. But yeah, go there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media at LightTheFusePod on Twitter and Instagram. And just like, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening to this podcast. And just spread the word. Tell people IRL what you think of this podcast. If you like it. If you don't like it, don't tell them anything. And yeah, that wraps up the Lightyear the Fuse miniseries. Charles, thank you for going to infinity and beyond with me and the listeners. I think that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Thank you to Angus and Jeremy. That was just a blast. And I'm not sure what we have coming up, but I'm sure we'll have great stuff for you soon. We've got things in the works, as always. So thank you all for listening. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod, and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcast@gmail.com. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.